Made biscuits. We lived at a little place close to Baby Net. And we were staying down there. It was a big old long place. And there was a friend that I knew all my life. His name was Melvin Lee, I think. Anyway, he was a Lee. And I had made biscuits that day for dinner. And those things were so hard well, it was just amazing. And so we sat down to eat. Well, you couldn't even eat those things because you couldn't break them in two. So this boy throwed one upside the house, and he accused this other girl. He thought the other girl had made them. And she said, I didn't make those. Claudia made those. He said, you didn't make these. I said, I tried. And he said, oh, I am so sorry, because he was just picking at Bertha. Her name was Bertha Lee, very good friend of Mom's. So they were terrible. So then after that, every time somebody was gone, the men folks were gone to work, well, I practiced making biscuits. And then I got better and better till today. They're not perfect. They're not as good as a lot of people's, but they will do. Okay, now I put some grease in here. And I add buttermilk. I can't remember what I added back then. I might not added no milk, I just don't know. Been a long time ago. In other words, I must have been about 19 or 20.
So what are you doing now?
Well, I'm just making them up. In a few minutes, I'll put some water in here. Old arms is not like what they used to be.
So is that hot water?
That's hot water.
Why do you do
You
that?
don't want it boiling, but I like warm water.
And you add a little more buttermilk.
Yeah, I added a little more buttermilk. Now Kathy added me a little more water.
So it's a gradual process.
And yeah. And it depends on how many biscuits you want. You know, we're making a big fryer today. So it'll take more made up.
So little by little, you're scraping a little bit of flour each time you make the round?
Right. You add more flour. Okay.
And more water.
And a little more water.
While you're doing that, what's the first time you made biscuits for Dad? How did he react to it?
They were much better. Because, see, I had practiced. All my life I had watched Granny make biscuits because Granny made biscuits just like this. And who I'm calling Granny was actually my mother. But I started calling her Granny when the children were little. And really, and truly, the woman I called Granny was my aunt. My mother died when I was about 5. Ruby was 3. And then Daddy married again and married my mother's sister. So she was really our aunt, but we called her Granny. When the kids started coming along, I started calling her Granny. And then Willis and Jack came along. So Daddy actually had 2 girls by mother and 2 boys by Granny.
So how do you know what consistency you want out of that?
Well, I don't know, sweetheart. I just know how it's supposed to feel somehow or another. And sometimes I do better than others. Now, I'm so used to fixing a small pan for just us till I do better with a small pan.
But now that your favorite son is here, you can make bigger
Yeah,
pan. Okay.
since we have a bigger pan. Well, Kathy, you're going to have to open this other bag of flour. And one thing about it, before you make biscuits, you always have your hands good and clean.
Now what are you doing now? Folding more flour in?
Yeah, gotta have more flour. That's okay.
You don't see a lot of people making biscuits in a pan like that anymore. Is that the way you used to do it, or is that pretty common to make
No
biscuits?
telling how old this pan is. I've had this pan for a long time. Long time. In other words, Granny had this pan and she made biscuits in it. So then she she stayed with us a while before she passed on. She stayed at our house. And so she gave me this pan to make biscuits in. And I was thinking last night, no telling how old it is, but I was thinking last night about some of my iron like this. I must have one that's over 100 years old, because my grandmother.
Well, that pan has to be close to 100 years old.
Yeah, I imagine so.
So, you've made a lot of biscuits in your life.
A lot of them in my life.
So how many kids did you have to feed with those biscuits?
Well, I've raised 6 kids, 3 girls and 3 boys. And they were all mine.
Yeah, but who was your favorite?
Oh, and I don't have no favorites now.
Why not?
I just don't know. I just love them all. But now, I made a mini biscuit morning for breakfast for your dad because he loved biscuits rather than he did toast.
So you don't roll them out and use like a biscuit cutting ring?
No, now Sis did. She rolled them out, patted them, and laid them on a table, and cut them with a glass.
Why do you prefer this method? You like this way better?
Making biscuits.
Yeah, like
This is the only way I've ever made them. I ain't never. I guess I take the lazy way out because, you know, she seemed to beat them up and then roll them out on flour and then take the glass and cut them, then bake them, which was a good biscuit. But I just like my way.
so how hot do you have to have your oven?
I put it 500.
And how long do you cook it?
Well, I just look at them and tell when they get done now. And I hope these turn out all right. Somehow or another they don't feel like they should. Or it's just me.
Well, I haven't had a bad biscuit yet.
Well, I hope those are not. Okay, I think they're ready. Check them and I'll take them out of the oven. Yeah, they're ready.
They look good?
Yep, could look better, but they look good. They'll be all right, I think. I hope. Yeah, they are looking all right. Oh, yeah. Do they look all right?
They look fabulous.
I hope they're that good.
All right. Well, thanks for making the biscuits again for your 4 millionth time.
Okay. Kayla, if you want to set them over on the table, honey. Thank you, ma'am.
See, and that's how you make a biscuit.
That's how you make the biscuits.